And actually, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Because I know me.
So that's our life mission. That's the McShin's mission.
You don't have to understand my boundaries to respect them.
Well, no, I'm the president and co-founder of McShin, a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorders.
How do you go about fixing the damage in the trust between the family after you get out?
Okay, I gotta work on that.
Celebrating my 6 months. Didn't have a cake.
Yeah.
Gosh, you showed up.
Hey, welcome to Get in the Herd podcast, brought to you by the McShin Foundation. Today I have Amanda Lewis on, and she's going to kind of tell us about herself, her story, and, basically that, yeah.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you guys?
Amanda.
So, a little bit about my story, where I come from, and where recovery has taken me. So I was born in Northern Virginia. I have an older brother who's 3 years older than me, a younger sister who's 3 years. I'm the middle child. My background a little bit, my father was also an addict. My brother is also an addict, and so is my sister. So going back, I come from obviously addiction, but the things that come with addiction. Also, my father was an alcoholic. He liked cocaine, so he was a very mean person. Never towards us, but towards my mother. So growing up, I seen a lot of abuse, mainly physical. My sister was kind of a little younger, doesn't remember. I was the older sister, so it was like, hey, shelter her from all of the things that didn't want her to see or go through.
So where are you from?
I am from Fairfax. I was born in Fairfax, but before I came here, I was living in Front Royal.
Okay. So that's in Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia.
Okay.
I'm from Virginia.
And growing up, did you grow up with both parents in the same house?
I grew up with my parents together until I was 11, about to be 11. We lived in Ocean City, Maryland together. I think from the first grade to fifth grade. And then that summer, we left. It was me, my mother, and my sister. We kind of just up and left. It was a situation. So, yeah, I lived with my parents till about 10 or 11.
Is that situation, is that something you want to talk about? Or?
Yeah, sure. It's been so long now.
Yeah.
Yeah. My father was a mean drunk, and he used to beat on my mother. He hung her and beat her until she was blue, and by the grace of God, she made it through it. And I came home from a football game one night and wasn't allowed to go home. So, like, my best friend lived all the way on the other end of our street. And
How old were you at this time?
I want to say I was 10.
Okay.
And
It's a pretty traumatic experience.
Yeah, we just kind of up and left one night and moved to Front Royal and lived with my aunt for about I think a year. All of us kind of went through that traumatic situation, and
this had been on like an ongoing thing.
Oh yeah, for years.
Okay.
My
and
mom
your mom just had enough.
Yeah. I mean, she almost died. So I think that was the cue of like, I was about to be gone and I need to get my kids out of here. But yeah, that was something that, it went on for years. And like, as I got older, I was like the one who had to hold everything together. She,
And how old is your sister?
She's 3 years younger than me.
And your brother?
Is 3 years older than me.
Oh, you're right in the middle.
I'm 30, yeah.
Okay.
He just turned 33, and my sister will be 28 in July.
Okay.
So, like, my brother wasn't he's my half brother, so we have different moms. So we weren't together all the time, but we moved to Ocean City to be closer to him. And then
Is that the same mom?
different mom?
Different mom. Okay,
Same
so
dad.
I got you.
Yeah. And, you know, he also comes from addiction. Like, his mom was an addict. My dad was an addict. So, like, we were kind of, like, raised around it. It was just so, like, the way I look at it is, like, my father's like we are, you know. So a lot of the things that he put us through, I don't, like, now that I'm older, I can look back and be like, you know, we do those things when we're in active addiction.
Yeah.
So the good thing about all this, though, is my dad is almost 5 years clean. So he, you know, he had his rough road as we were younger, but, like, he's really stepped up a lot since being clean this time. And he's, like, a completely different person. My sister is a little over a year clean. And my brother is clean, which... He is, he's got a disease right now. It's endocarditis from using, and his, you know, he's dying. But, you know, that's the thing that comes with addiction.
That's like an infection in the blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he got an infection in the bloodstream, and it went to his heart. He's doing really bad right now. You know, and when I first found out, it was kind of like, you know, wow. But right now, like, we talk on a daily basis, and he's kind of just getting through it. But,
Where
like,
is he at right now?
he lives in Florida with his mother. So I haven't seen my brother since I was 19. He's always lived out there with his mom because they had a traumatic experience as well, and up and left. And moved to Florida. And then we up and left and moved to Front Royal. So, you know, we kind of just split for a while. But it's crazy because we're all addicts. We all ended up going down the same road. He's got 4 sisters, 2 by his mother, and then 2, you know, we have the same dad. So, you know, out of all of us, I think, out of all the kids, there was only one that didn't become an addict.
And which one was that?
His youngest sister,
Okay.
Alexis.
So let's go back a little bit. So you're 11 and you moved to Front Royal. And so what was that like? So you said you were at a football game. You come home and you're not going home.
Right.
Like, what was that like?
It was-
Where did you go though? Like, did your mom pick you up? What?
No, my friend's parents picked us up, and when we came to their house, my mom came there, like, was already there, and you know, I was old enough to realize that, like, I seen the marks on her neck, I seen the bruises on her sides. Like, my mom's smaller than me, she's little, so, and she was like, you know, we can't go home. Your aunt's coming to get us. So in the middle of the night, we went from Ocean City with nothing, no clothes, nothing from our house. It was like an overnight experience, and we ended up moving in the basement of my aunt's house. And
This year, what, like in 4th, 5th grade?
Fifth
I don't know,
grade.
5th grade.
I was going to
So-
6th grade.
Moving schools and changing friends, and what was that like? Do you think that, when did you start using?
At 11.
Okay, so right around there.
Yeah.
Do you think that had a part to do with it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting uprooted from everything you know, losing your father, you know, living in a basement with, okay, so, you know, my mom has been so secluded for 13 years, and, like, her leaving and all that trauma, she wasn't there, you know. She started drinking real bad, going out all the time, and it was hard. Like, it was hard on us. You know, we lost our dad, and then mentally we're losing our mom too, because
Your mom's there, but not really. Like,
Not
she's
really
checked
there.
out. Yeah.
right. So, going from one situation to another, the drinking. You know, we've always seen the drinking. And I think I checked out too. You know, I was always the kid to keep everything together, to keep my little sister together, to watch her, make sure she's okay. And
How'd you fall into that role?
how?
Yeah.
Because my mother worked all the time and my dad was getting high, drinking. You know, I had my sister was like my kid. You know, I didn't have a choice. My mom would work till 11 o'clock at night. So there I was doing the homework, you know, making sure she was okay. You know, the dinner was already made, usually because my dad doesn't cook, you know, so my mom would make it during the day and we'd have something to eat when we came home. It was a lot. And then moving into my aunt's house, she had a bunch of children. So, like, I was the one watching the kids still. Like, I was the one getting my cousin up for school, getting my sister up for school, getting everybody ready plus myself. Like, my aunt had infant. It was just a lot for a young kid, like, to put so much on. It was a lot.
It is, yeah. And it pushed you to grow it pretty quick.
Right, very quickly.
So you move over to Front Royal. You're 11 in 5th grade. You started drinking or using drugs?
The drinking thing, I did a little bit, but you gotta think, like, having two parents that drank.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't my go-to. I started smoking weed, hanging around the wrong crowd. Hanging out with the friends that had parents that were like, oh, sure, you know, you can do whatever as long as you're here. My mom, you know, like, she wasn't a bad mom. I can't say, because she made sure that we had a roof over our head. She worked, you know, she kept it together, but, like, she was kind of, like, dealing with her own mental stuff. So we ended up moving out of my aunt's, like, a year later. We moved into town of Front Royal because we were on the mountain, which I went from living across the street from the beach to a mountain. I hated it. And when we moved to town, it, like, we were free, you know? I was at that age where I was curious and just getting to run the streets and hanging out with my friends. And it went from, like, you know, smoking weed, and then my friends had older siblings that were snorting pills, and so I was doing that at, like, 12 years old. And then I ended up with a boy who was 3 years older than me at the age of 13, and, you know, I loved him so much. It was my first love, and, you know, at 13 years old, I smoked crack for my first time. And then after that, it was like, try anything I could find. Partying and, like, you know, at a young age, like, so my sister, like, it got to the point where I was making my sister smoke weed till she wouldn't tell on me. So, like, and there I go ruining her, you know, just because I didn't want to get caught and I didn't want to get in trouble. So, at the age of, you know, 14, 15, I was doing shrooms, e-pills, smoking, drinking, and then I got a drunk in public and a shoplifting charge when I was like 15, 14, something like that. And, you know, I was in sports, but I ended up quitting sports because I wanted to go party and get in trouble. And
You're playing softball, right?
Softball, yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. So 13, you tried crack.
Yes.
What was that like? That's a pretty early age to do a drug like that.
Yeah, I mean,
And this is because of the boy?
yeah. His uncle was doing it, and he let us do it. You know, we tried it or whatever the first time together. And it wasn't like an ongoing thing after that. It was just like, that was my first experience of, like, a heavy drug, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And then after that, it was like party, party, party. You know, anything somebody would give me, I would do, which is dangerous, but, like,
That's what it is. And so what were your, like, grades like at this time? What was
God.
school like? Were you going to school?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go to school, but I would go to school high all the time. I don't even know how I passed school, honestly. Like, I never did my homework. I never did my work. I was just one of those kids that didn't give a shit at all. And I would barely make it through, you know.
Yeah.
Like the tests at the end of the year, I think are the one things that help me get through, you know. But other than that, no.
So you naturally, like, no. You're like, I mean, I can see you're smart, but like taking a test at the end of the year without doing your homework, like, is this stuff that you already knew or?
I guess it was kind of I mean, not really stuff that I knew, but like there's certain things, like, of course I went to school. I didn't pay attention all the time, but like when I knew there was a test coming up, I would like just go over certain things because you know you got that like guide to go over before you take a test. So I would pay attention to that part of it, and
You say
somehow,
like it's nothing though. That's kind of like that's a skill. Like that's not everyone can do that.
well, I'm not a dumb.
Well, not
No,
not
I'm
only
pretty-
that, but like to be able to cram everything at the end and pull it off is kind of,
Yeah, I'm pretty
kinda cool.
smart
Yeah.
when it comes to stuff like, and then multiple choice, for some reason, I'm really good at multiple choice
Yeah.
questions.
yeah. So 13, boyfriend who's 16. How did that play out?
Terrible.
Yeah.
He was like,
Do you have kids?
I do. I have one.
Okay.
He's 12. I can say that's where like my toxic relationships started. He was very controlling. And obviously he's older than me, so I like think the world of him, you know, that manipulation and that you can't wear this, can't do this, can't talk to this person. Like I got to the point where I was like, if I wasn't around him, or like it was so possessive. My mom, you know, a couple years later was like, you can't see him anymore. Like, this is not a normal teenage relationship. Like, this is a serious, like, toxic issue. Like, you're too young.
Almost illegal. Yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, and he was older than me. So, like, by the time I was 15, he was 18, you know? So, like, and he had me so brainwashed.
You guys
like,
were together for a while then, a
Yeah.
couple years. Mm-hmm. So that kind of just sucks up your whole teenage years.
Yeah. I was like grown so fast.
Yeah.
Like from watching kids and having kids that I, you know, watch, and then I get into the serious relationship at such a young age, and like
How did that end?
So my mom made us split up, obviously, because he was 18 and it was illegal for him to be with me, and pretty much was like, stay away from my daughter or I'm turning you in type of thing. But like mentally it broke me, and it was scary to see me so broken over not having him around. Like I was miserable and just a mess. And I think that was another reason why like I started lashing out so much too. Like,
Did you like run away
yeah, I ran away. I did. I ran away
a few times?
a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was bad.
So ran away. What went with a guy to his house, his parents' house, or like was that?
No, I ran away, but I didn't make it that far.
Oh,
I was, my mom found me on the side of the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little bag and a stick.
Pretty much. Like, I walked the railroad tracks from my aunt's house all the way down Bentonville, which is the country, like nothing around, and then made it to the main road, and she found me.
So you just took off, like.
Yeah, I took
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
So, how did that, like, you're miserable, you're trying to get over this breakup, like, you starting to use more drugs now?
Yeah, I mean, I smoked weed all day, every day anyways.
Yeah.
So it was just more and more and more. And then my rebellion, like me being rebellious, like more and more and more, not wanting to listen, skipping school, going into school high all the time. Like it was at a certain point, my mom just kind of like threw her hands up because she tried, but she's a single mother taking care of 2 kids, and she has to work a full-time job. So
And what was she doing?
waitressing.
Okay.
So sometimes she worked 2 jobs. She had 2 mouths to feed plus her own and bills and clothing, and so I kind of took advantage of that. Well, mom's at work, I'll do what I want to do. And even when she tried to ground me, there is no grounding me if she's not there, and she has to do what she has to do. So I kind of was just like, F you, I'm doing what I want to do.
And this is around the time you got arrested the first time?
Yeah.
What'd you steal?
It's so funny. It's not funny, but it's embarrassing. I was so drunk, and mind you, I don't drink like that. So I think this was after me and him had split up, and I went into town and and I went into the store and went to the back of the store and just took candy bars and walked out the store like he didn't see me.
I was like, fuck it.
Fuck it. Yeah. I was like, fuck it. And he chased me across the street, and I tripped because I was drunk. Police got me, got some charges, and I ended up having to do community service. Mind you, I was still trying to be in sports and stuff. Around this time, I was trying out for cheerleading, and then I had to do community service, so it's kind of screwed me. So altogether,
Those are very conflicting lifestyles.
Yeah, trying to keep it together and doing it doesn't work out.
So, softball. So I imagine you're pretty talented to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love sports.
Okay.
Love 'em. I was a cheerleader and I played softball, and when I was younger, I did recreation basketball and everything. Yeah.
And what did sports do for you?
To me, they were fun. They kept me in shape. They kept me, it took me away for a moment, of all the shit that I've had to deal with. I got to just be a kid. That was my, I'm a normal kid time,
Yeah.
I didn't have much of that at all.
It's a little bit more, I guess with sports, it's like, you know what you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah. So going through high school and sports, did you get accepted in any schools? Did you barely just graduate? What?
No. When I went to try out for cheerleading, she was going to put me on varsity, but because of me getting in trouble and having to do community service, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do both. And after that, I was just like, screw everything. I think I was in the 9th grade.
Cheerleader with community service.
Right. Right.
Yeah. It just clicked.
Yeah, because when it came, I was good at sports. I was very athletic, and my build was I don't know, it just came to me naturally. So after that, it was just party, party, party. I'm not doing sports. I'm living my life. And I hung out with older kids at this point. A lot of my friends were graduated. About 15 is where it really started. I hung out with kids that were already graduated and they were doing drugs, and I got into cocaine really bad when I was 15. Not going to school, staying up all night, or going to school after staying up all night and still staying up all day because I'm in the bathroom snorting lines,
It's an expensive habit. How'd you?
My friends were older. They always had it. It was just given to
It's a little
me.
different for a female, I guess, sometimes.
Well, yeah, and my friend's father had older friends that had it all the time and would just give it to us,
So, any other key moments in your teenage years that you wanted to touch on?
Other than me getting pregnant in high school, I did get pregnant in high school and I graduated.
So you were, 18, 17?
17.
Okay.
I got pregnant when I was a senior in high school. Graduated 4 months pregnant, and mind you, I didn't do drugs when I was pregnant. Not doubting anybody who did, because it does happen. But I was pretty clean, whistle clean when I was pregnant. But my son's father, he was not. He was in alternative school. He was a year younger than me, and he started doing pills really bad when I was pregnant, and throughout my whole pregnancy, ended up trying heroin when I was pregnant, and
So when you found out you were pregnant, what was that like?
it's kind of crazy, but
I'm sure you felt it before you.
well, yeah, me and my son's father were trying.
You were trying, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Of course, you guys are in love.
right, we're young and low, want a kid, blah blah blah, and that ended up being a situation, a rough road. After I had my son is when I started like getting really, really into hard drugs. I started doing pills really bad. His whole family had prescriptions, so, we were doing it with them, and then, we started illegally getting prescriptions, and it just became a whole thing. And, once the pills run out and they don't come around as much anymore, because that's what started happening, like, there was less and less of them. A lady who I was buying her prescription, I never knew what sickness was. And
What pills are we talking about? Like Oxy or?
Oxys, yeah. Like, the 30s, the Perk 30s, without the
The blue ones?
yeah.
Yeah, Roxy's, yeah.
Yeah, the Roxys, there you go. But once those are gone, you need something to stay well. So this lady, she was a lot older than me. I was buying her prescription. Took me to DC for my first time, and it was a wrap after that. A year later, I'm using a needle.
And this time, what, you're shooting the pills or heroin or?
Both,
Okay.
whatever I can get my hands on to make me feel better, and living in hotel rooms.
It's a big jump to go to a needle. What was that like?
Honestly, like I
Was
wasn't
it just
even,
around, or?
It was around, but so this is how this happened. Like, our friends were already doing it, and we were sick. And when you only have a little bit to share between two people, it hits you faster and harder. So we were like, hey, if we do it like this, we might be, it might be enough to get us well.
Yeah.
And we did. And after that, it was like,
Once you do that,
couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I think that's the needles, I think, one of the biggest and hardest things to quit.
Yeah, the whole, it registering, all that stuff is like a high in itself.
Yeah, it is. Like, the whole process and the way that it feels, how it's just like it's like a next step, a next level. And once you get to that level, it's like a whole nother demon. And it's intense and it's exhausting.
Yeah, we're not supposed to feel that good.
No.
And so doing that, like, you really fuck yourself up. Yeah.
It's like the rush and the feeling of it. It's like so hard. And it's another love, but it's a dangerous.
Yeah, because you'll
dangerous
never
love.
feel that good. I mean, not like that again, And it's hard to stop that when, like, it's so easy and quick, Comes
Yeah.
with a lot of other shit, but it's hard to replace that. That's why people have such a hard time stopping.
Because they chase that first one
Yeah.
every time. And it never gets there. My son is, at this point, 2 years old.
So you were trying to have a baby, and so what was the plan? Just gonna have a baby, and did you guys have a plan? Or?
That's the thing. Like, no.
You just want to do it for the love.
The
Want a
love.
baby? All right.
Like, that's crazy.
I've been there. I've done it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's another crazy part about it was he was younger than me too. So like I'm graduating high school and he's still in school. He's an alternative. So this was not a process thought out very, very well. But I never thought that after having a kid, I was going to get completely strung out on drugs either. You know, like looking back, I was completely sober my whole pregnancy.
How'd you do that?
It's not the baby's, he doesn't get a say in it, and it's not fair. It's not fair for me to be that selfish to get high,
What did you do during those 9 months?
I mean,
Like, how did you change your lifestyle to,
I just stopped. Like, I've seen people do that pregnant, and I never thought it was fair to the child because they don't get a say so. And I also was scared as well because something could have happened and it would have been my fault. I did smoke weed a little bit. The first couple months I stopped, and then about 4 months, I started smoking.
Yeah, but you're not shooting dope. That's like
No.
a whole different thing. Yeah.
Right, I smoked weed, and then the last couple months I stopped as well. I didn't want to be dirty going in there having the baby. I didn't want to take my kid. But it wasn't easy. Like, it was hard because I had people offering me stuff all the time. I did it when I was pregnant, but like, no, I'm not doing that. It was tempting. I had a lot of temptation, but I just didn't do it. And then right after I had my son, it was like, party. I've been sober for 9 months. Like, let's do it. And it just ended bad.
So you bring your son, you have your son, and what's that feeling like?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially being sober to see it, Like, I had my son on New Year's Eve, and he's a New Year's baby. And everybody in my room was fucking trash. I'm, like, annoyed because I'm the only sober one in the room. But after that...
And your family's there with you?
My family. I had 7 people in my room when I gave birth.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, it was
I
New Year's
never
Eve.
heard of that.
It's not supposed to be like that.
That's interesting.
But it was fun. It was...
Yeah.
I had all the love and support with me, That's what I wanted.
Is the boy there too? The boyfriend?
Yeah, he was there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there. By my side. While I had him. Yeah. My sister, my mom, him, my best friend and her mom, my grandma. Yeah, it was a lot.
So you have this baby, and now you go back to using, but you have a baby now, so I'm sure makes it difficult.
It made it difficult. My son's father, he was working, so we ended up moving into his father's apartment downstairs. So his aunt and uncle had the upstairs, and we had the downstairs apartment. We all shared, and when the baby's first born, I'm not working.
And this is all where?
In Front Royal.
Okay.
And his father was working, but it was like I lived in the house with him, his brother, his dad, his other brother. Like, I lived with a bunch of guys, and his dad drank a lot too. We ended up moving all the way to Reston with his aunt, and then I started working. She would babysit for me and him while he worked with her husband, and I worked at a restaurant during the day, which was, I don't want to say a better situation, but more comfortable for me. But she had prescriptions of Roxy's 30s. She did, his mom did, his mom's husband did. So, like, and then his aunt's husband as well. They all got scripts. So we were constantly high, like, and that was probably when I got to not my worst, but like, that's where it all started, like heavily, 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 where I could not stop. Like there was no stopping at that point ever.
Yeah. This is like 2010, 2011.
Yeah. 2010, yeah, 2011. Yeah.
Yeah. So you couldn't stop. So you moved on to heroin.
Yeah, I moved on to heroin, and then we got so bad, like his aunt ended up passing away. We ended up having to move back home, and we lived with my mother. And we were just fighting all the time, beating each other. Like, my son's a baby, witnessing us literally killing ourselves and each other at the same time. And my mom ended up kicking us out, and like we were homeless, and it was just like a cycle over and over. And then like I went to rehab for my first time, and I go to rehab, and my family takes my son. It was, they sold my car, they got rid of my car, and they came and see me and was like, you're either going to give us custody, or I'm putting you on the street and taking custody. And then that's,
Was this like an intervention, or did you ask for it, or you were kind of pushed to do it?
I was pushed to do it because my aunt's house was the only house I had to live at, and if I didn't give them,
I was talking more about the treatment.
Oh, the treatment.
Was part of it?
No, that was me waking up one morning and my baby dad missed his work van and spazzed out on me and did all the dope and was throwing shit at me, and we've gotten a huge fight in front of my kid, and like something just told me at that moment, like, something's got to give. It was just, I was tired, but I was still young, and I wasn't ready, but I went. And
was this before or after your family
took my son?
Mm-hmm.
This was before I took my son, or before they took my son.
Okay, so you go to treatment. Where did you go?
Boxwood.
That's
Culpeper.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do? Like 28 days, and then
Yeah, it was supposed to be 30 days, I'm sure, but I left early.
it was like a lockdown facility type clinical.
No. It was co-ed. Guys on this side, girls on this side. We did groups all day together. It was just opening too, so it wasn't like completely put together. But it was like, it's kind of clinical, I guess you could say. Not completely though. Like you got up, had to do chores, clean, your areas and all that. You had to see counselor, make a recovery plan.
Was there a doctor on staff there?
Yes. Yeah. And, I did it I think I left 5 days early. I did it for 25 days or something. I left mainly because
You were recovered.
No, that wasn't it. They started getting on me because I had gained some weight and my clothes were not fitting like they were when I got there, and I was filling out, and they were telling me that my pants were too tight and that I was teasing, I guess you would say, the men, kind of. So I was like, and then they took me to try and get me some new clothes, and it wasn't what I wanted. So, like, I was being a brat, but I also felt like they were attacking me, and I left.
That's something strange to say to someone. Like, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
It was that.
Like you can't help the way you're shaped, Like you.
Right.
Right.
So by them telling me that my clothes were too tight, and I was like, I'm clean, I'm gaining weight, like I can't help that. And it was just like a back and forth, and I was like, screw this, I'm leaving. You guys are not going to attack me every day because of what I'm wearing. Like, that has nothing to do with my recovery.
Yeah.
So I left early.
Let's just rewind just a little bit. So, did you detox?
Did I detox?
Yeah, at the facility or at the place?
Yes.
What was that like? This is the first time you're detoxing?
First time
Yeah.
I had tried a program, first time I had been through like full blown withdrawals, it was miserable. Miserable.
Did you use any like meds
They
to help you?
they kind of give you what they give you in jail, like clonidine and stuff like that to help you sleep at night. But other than that, no. I withdrawal. Felt like I was dying, you know. The difference though back then was it was real heroin. So by like the 5th day, 6th
it's not the
day,
same,
it's
yeah.
not right. It's not as intense. So, you know, I got through it kind of quickly. And then after that, it was like, actually, you know what? I forgot. Sorry, it was a long time ago. I went to a detox before I went there. But yeah, I was laying in the bed and detoxing. I went to Poplar Springs. It's not there anymore. I was the last person to graduate. But it was in Stanton. And right after that, I went to the program. And on my way to the program, that's when my family was like, sold my car. You know, they took me out to eat. They sold my car. They took my, you know, emergency custody of my kid. And then when they were telling me, like, when you come out of treatment, we're going to court, and while you're going to give him to me, or I'm going to kick you out and take him from you.
And who was this?
My mother and my aunt.
Okay.
Which I understand now, because it was us doing what's best for my son. Because obviously I relapsed again, not too long after I left. Still with my baby dad. Long story short, we ended up splitting up. Mind you, I was living at my aunt's in addiction, and they ended up kicking me out because they found out I was getting high in the house. Me and my son's father split up, and not too long after that, I was staying in a hotel room, caught some charges. So, I caught my aunt turned in one of my needles to the police. I caught a possession charge.
That's tough.
Yeah. And then, after that, I got in trouble again. I went to rehab, and they gave me first offender. I was living in Winchester. Went to Edge Hill in Winchester.
For the needle?
Yeah, I went to rehab. I got my first offenders while I was in rehab. Got out of that program, went to one of their sober living houses, and then relapsed again. And violated my first offender with a distribution and possession charge. And I did my first jail bid at 21.
How long did you do?
They gave me 11 months. I did 9.5, 10 months.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Got out, was out for a month and a half, relapsed, got locked up again. Did 8 months for my first violation for both counties, because I had 2 different counties, Winchester and Front Royal. And then got out again. Like, I've literally been in jail. I've done 5.5 years altogether. I started going to jail when my son was 3. And this is the longest I've been out off papers, you know, not been in any trouble. Longest I've ever been clean. Including jail time. So I did, first bid was about 10 months, second was 8 months, third was 22 months, fourth was 13 months, 13 and a half months, and then my last bid was 15 and a half months. Then I came home.
So you've done over a year. multiple times.
Yeah.
In 22 months, that's almost 2 years. What was that like for you?
The jail bids, I usually went to work pretty quickly. I worked in the kitchens, outside trustee. And then I did end up going to prison.
Was jail easy for you? Like, like, you took it well, I guess?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all you could do, really, but, like, did you have any, like, an experience, like, an awakening in jail?
This last time.
Did you use drugs in jail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If it wasn't drugs, it was other people's psych meds, Seroquel, you know. Jail was always kind of easy for me because they let me work all the time. You know, I never went without in jail. Always had. So it wasn't like a huge struggle for me. Missing my family, obviously, and my kid. But
Were you getting visited by your family?
Yeah, visited by my family. My son was coming to see me. I always had money. You know, my first jail bid, my grandma would come and put $100 a week on my books. Like,
it goes a long way in jail.
I'm sorry.
I think that goes a long way in jail.
Oh yeah, $100.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and I worked in the kitchen, so I always had I didn't have to pay the $150 a day or whatever. So it was pretty easy for me. Like,
so you're a felon?
8 times.
8 times. Mm-hmm. And you said this is the longest you've had. How long have you been out since the last time?
Almost 2 years. I think November will be 2 years. I've been clean this time 14 months. I just celebrated my year April 6th. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. 14 months. So this is the longest you've had in recovery too.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's that been like for you? What's recovery been like for you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's given me life that I never knew I could live. Like, it's changed me in so many ways, in such a positive. Even on my worst days, I'm still okay. I'm still happy because I would rather have a bad day clean than a bad day using any day. There's so much. Like, I came here. I came to the McShin Foundation. Is where I started out, and when I came here, I was institutionalized. I had a terrible attitude. I wanted to fight all the time. I
remember that.
Yes. That was a huge mess.
You were driving too for a while, right?
Yeah, I went from the intensive house to being an assistant house leader at the intensive house. I was driving for McShin. But mind you, when I first got here, I was on contract my first week.
Yeah.
I still had that jail mentality of like, hey, can I get a piece of your Seroquel? So I gave somebody a piece of my Seroquel, like not thinking. Got on contract, but like within my second week, halfway through that second week, something just clicked, and like they took me out of intensive 2 days early to be an assistant house leader, and from there on, like,
What do you think clicked?
Honestly, it was just like, this really isn't that bad. You know, I see all these meetings and all these people who have long, clean time, and like the happiness and the stuff that they gained back so quickly. I was like, I can have fun in recovery. I can create relationships in recovery that are genuinely good relationships. I can trust women now. You know, like, it was just so different because I'm used to, like, the jail mentality of being in jail with girls that are catty and wanting to fight all the time and talking about you, and the, you know, not being able to shut your own door, not be able to wear real clothes, it's just so different. Like, you see the little things that you're so grateful for. And people looking up to me, you know, they see something in me that I don't see in myself, so I let them love me until I started to love myself. And it worked for me. You know, I haven't ever been this happy. My son's happy. I'm, McShin taught me a lot about myself. And now I am working through AmeriCorps. I'm a recovery coach. I am going to school, taking college courses to be a substance abuse counselor. I've got joint custody of my son. I live in an apartment with a roommate of mine. I get my son every other week for the whole summer, and then every other weekend on this, during school year. Like, I'm building a relationship with him, and my family is.
You said he's 12 now?
Yeah, he's 12.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this since he was 3. So, when your son looks at you and, tears up and is like, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
This is the longest you've ever been around without using. And the gifts of recovery that I've gotten just gets better and better. I financed my first car, and then I just traded that car in and got a new car. So, I'm working.
Did you already?
Huh?
Is that the car you were driving earlier?
That's my new car. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
You only had that little blue one for
9 months.
So, that's awesome. Sounds like you kind of just surrendered, I guess, kind of stopped fighting everyone and everything.
I had to.
So,
I
taking
lost
some
my whole
suggestions,
life.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm 30 years old, and I'm,
You already know what you're going to get, yeah.
Yeah, there is no. So, I'm not on probation. I'm not. The legal system I'm done with, but, if I go back out, I'm probably not coming back, And I know that. I've been down that road, and, I want to be here. I want to be somebody who can show the next person, this works. You know what I mean? I see these people come in, and these women, I just love them. Because that's what we need. I was a woman who just needed to be loved correctly.
Yeah.
So, to anybody, recovery's so worth it. It really is for me. For anybody. If you really want a better life.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Just a couple more questions here. So what are your goals for the future? What do you're going to school? What do you see yourself doing?
So, I'm going to school to be a substance abuse counselor, which I want to get my bachelor's and then eventually get my master's. Right now, I just turned my paperwork in yesterday to do my CPRS. So once I get my CPRS test done and hopefully not fail, I plan on looking to be more in CPRS obviously is kind of more of the clinical side, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a little, it's a little more detail.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to just look for something. I've always wanted to do some sort of counseling and helping somebody, because I also have the mental health side too. I've been taking medication for a couple of years, and I've always wanted to do it for either youth counseling because of the trauma that I went through as a kid, helping somebody else. I've always wanted to help somebody else. Just helping, whether it was old men and women.
And this is since
I was younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, I think a lot of my trauma made me be even as a younger child, I want to help somebody, because if they don't have to go through that, or if, have to sit with themselves for so long dealing with those type of situations, I want to help them get it out. Free themselves from it, So I haven't really sat down and figured everything out. I'm kind of just doing one thing at a time. I work 2 jobs. I go to school. I got a kid. Kind of just going with the flow right now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Are you Art?
Yeah.
John was looking for you.
I got you. So yeah, I think we can end it there. Do you have anything else you want to add or anything you want to say?
All I'm going to say is if you're struggling and you see this, that McShin Foundation saved my life, and these foundations out here are here to help you. And I highly suggest it, even if you don't even know if you're ready, because sometimes it just clicks when you don't even know it. That's all I got.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Really inspiring story. Yeah, I think we'll end it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.